Hey everybody, welcome to Tuesday. Cthulhu and I are doing the album cover, right? Like, cool guy pose, right? No, I'm kidding. Cthulhu always does cool guy poses. We are talking today about, well, deep dive into a cultural phenomenon, by way of Star Wars. Some of you may have seen the latest kerfuffle. There's a Star Wars thing out. Of course, there's a kerfuffle. I don't know why, but this is the relationship that the Star Wars brand now has with its fan base. It's like, and I am dating myself here, but when the original series cast started making movies, and for some Trek fans, they strayed too far from original series canon, and nothing seemed to make them happy at the time. I mean, now Wrath of Khan is considered a classic, um, but things change. Things change. I mean, God, do you remember when the the prequels came out, episodes 1, 2, and 3? Ooh, rending of garments. People freaked out. And it's just a thing. And I think in part it's because there are now 3 generations that have very, very different relationships with Star Wars. So I'm not here to dunk on Star Wars fandom. I mean, shit, I'm a part of Star Wars fandom. I want to examine why things seem to focus on a small part of the fandom and what that means. So if you like this sort of content, help support this channel, become a monthly patron, patreon.com/Leanna K, or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone who can use it but can't afford it, coffee.com/Leanna K. Okay, so the latest kerfuffle is over the incredible Moses Ingram as third sister in Obi-Wan Kenobi. And there was some racism. I don't like to dwell on what was said. And this is sort of the whole point of it. If we signal boost the racism, we elevate the racism. If you've seen the racism, awesome. If you haven't, spare yourself. Well, I mean, not awesome. Honestly, I came about it because I saw Saggy Mellon's Twitter feed, and she was going WTF. Saggy uses the actual words. I love Saggy. But she was going, this is ridiculous. And she was just clowning on it. And I was like, whoa, that's a word I haven't heard in a while. People still use that word? Really? So yes, the racist commentary was real. I don't understand why the race of the actress was relevant to not liking the portrayal or jumping the gun on a potential retcon. I'm not going to spoil anything, or potential continuity error. I'm not going to spoil anything. One, the series isn't over yet. We don't know. This is Star Wars, okay? Things happen. But also the legitimate concerns people have about continuity. Notice I said legitimate, have really nothing to do with Moses Ingram's race. People seem to blame woke for everything these days. Again, I'm not going to get mired in this because I think that arguing with those people takes away from the people who have well-meaning, good faith concerns. I think those people should get the attention. Those people should get the oxygen, because those people you can reason with, you can I won't say appease, because that's wrong, but they're clearly fans. They're clearly concerned about continuity. A lot of people are very, very attached to Star Wars continuity. It's a nerd thing. Of course they are. That's valid. But instead, what it came down to was the official Star Wars account putting out this oddly worded tweet. And I mean, okay, I can understand tempers being a little short at Disney right now with everything that's going on, with the state of Florida. But I still kind of went on the tweet of, "We are proud to welcome Moses Ingram to the Star Wars family and excited for Reva's story to unfold." I didn't know Third Sister had a name. Okay. "If anyone intends to make her feel in any way unwelcome, we only have one thing to say. We resist." They go on to say, "There are more than 20 million sentient species in the Star Wars galaxy. Don't choose to be a racist." Now, I think they should have just gone with the second tweet because it's cute and it makes the point. It also underlines that Star Wars, from the very beginning, Darth Vader was voiced by James Earl Jones. Billy D. Williams was Lando Calrissian. Oh my God, I almost blanked on Lando, right? Star Wars at least attempted some diversity back in the late 70s and early to mid 80s, right? It wasn't enough by modern standards, but they still made the attempt, right? Okay, great. The resist thing struck me as, this is only going to fan the flames. And unlike some people, I do not believe this is deliberate. I believe this is people at Disney. We had this phenomenon that we talked about when I worked in television, where anything sort of youth programming, we called it the phenomenon of 50-year-olds telling 30-year-olds what 30-year-olds think 20-year-olds think teenagers think is cool. It has been distilled into the meme, "How do you do, fellow kids?" Right? I think I get 20 people signed off on that tweet before it went out. I'd be very surprised if the Star Wars Twitter account just went off about that, in part because of how long it took, right? Just the idea of a company so big that it owns Star Wars and Marvel and now the Fox catalog and like National Geographic and for now, who knows what's going to happen, but has its own city with its own fire department and collects its own taxes. Like, what are you resisting, Disney? That's the language of the oppressed. You're not them. Like, how do you do, fellow kids, right? I do think that Disney is scrambling, though, and this is really surprising to me. They're obviously still reeling from kind of blowing the Gina Carano thing and then completely screwing up the whole "don't say gay" bill kerfuffle. And they're trying to find the line and coming out Steve Buscemi in 30 Rock. But they're not the only ones that did this. I'm just kind of surprised because the Disney I worked with and for on a couple of convention gigs. I was a theme model for Korra from Tron. Wasn't it Tron Legacy? Oh my God, I forget now. Disney was great. They were great, and they gave people a lot of latitude as long as they saw that you were making people happy, right? And not blowing their brand. I was actually told, don't quote the original Tron so much. That was the one note I got. But yeah. I'm kind of surprised, and I guess I shouldn't be, because when I look back to the response again and again and again and again, companies keep making the same mistake. And again, people think it's deliberate based on my knowledge of how these companies work. I don't believe it is. because and like I said, maybe it has changed since the Florida thing. Disney did used to be a never complain, never explain company. Obviously, they are trying to react to the criticism that they didn't do enough to um uh give an easier ride to actors like John Boyega and Kelly Marie Tran. And it's kind of weird because everybody seems to forget about Giancarlo Esposito and how he's mixed race. Um, and he gets grief from, the left for not being properly Hispanic and playing Hispanic characters. Like it's just so weird, right? All of it's weird. There's strange complaints. Is his Spanish pronunciation good? Okay. I understand he speaks fluent Spanish. So, meanwhile, they keep getting actors of East Indian descent to play Arabs on TV, and you don't hear the hue and cry about that. It's weird what things catch on. Do you see what I mean? Like, it's all weird. I'm just gonna say weird a lot because I've been watching this and I've been dealing with this for my entire career. Back in the 90s when I started, I was really big on including now we call them diverse casts, but back then I was just like, we want shows to reflect the people who watch them. And if I got a load of show full of good looking women, I don't want them to all look the same, because what's the point? Why should I pay 12 women that all look alike when I could pay 4 women and move them around? If we're going to have that many women on staff, they all got to bring something unique and special to the table. And it worked out really well. We were extremely popular in prison. My life is weird. And that's why it's so weird again when I get called racist or this or that, or I don't understand, or I'm a sellout, or I'm a bad feminist and all that stuff. Like, it's all just weird. And those experiences trying to, diversify television back then gave me an inside look at how little people got it. Fast forward to now, dealing with corporate clients, they still don't get it. It's so tone deaf internally. It's just so, I don't know if you guys saw the whole Juneteenth Walmart ice cream debacle. Leave that for another day. I do not believe there is a grand plan here. I believe there's a lot of scrambling and companies going, how do you do, fellow kids? Okay, position stated. Why do I think this? Well, because first of all, they've so overcorrected from saying nothing. This is strange. And maybe they legitimately felt awful about the racism that Moses Ingram received. And it is a problem when an actress has to bring receipts because she knows that, or she's been primed to believe. Because again, actors on these big Disney franchises don't sneeze without permission, right? The contracts are so, ironclad that the original Avengers cast used to joke that, if they said the wrong thing, they'd be disappeared, So they thought she had to prove that it happened, even though people like me saw it happen. And that's, as somebody who had to document harassment and still wasn't believed by the police, there came a point in time where I just had to put the file away and give up, because I could not keep going back, looking at the threats, looking at the stuff, like revisiting the terror. And a Johnny Depp stan was telling me about something on Twitter yesterday, And I was like, what? And she actually said, I have screen grabs, but I don't want to go back and look at them again. And I said, no, I totally believe you. And don't do that because you're right. What is the purpose of that? It's not cool that an actress or, her social media managers have to wade through that stuff. And this is where we get into the no-win situation facing these things. People on the left demand that you take a stand, that you stand up, that you, in Disney's words, resist. The problem is, in terms of actually making the harassment stop, it's the worst thing you can do. Because whenever you engage with those people, pardon the ironic language, whenever you engage with a small core of bad in a fandom, you elevate that pocket, I shouldn't say core, pocket of fandom. And the rest of the fandom goes, what the fuck? What about the rest of us? And that's why off the top of this video, I address the people with legitimate and valid concerns about some of the continuity stuff in Obi-Wan Kenobi. I have heard from people since this Star Wars thing happened, well, there are legitimate things we're concerned about and we complain about, and we shouldn't be branded racist because we complain about it. Yes, absolutely true. And that's the problem. On this channel, you guys know I do Feedback Friday for a reason. And I take questions from people, critical or in agreement, who seem to be coming to the table in good faith and know how to behave. I do that for a reason. What you feed grows stronger. So if you feed high quality, good faith comments, even when they're critical, that grows stronger. It's strong with the Force, right? When you focus on the dark side, fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, right? We know this. It's fucking Star Wars. Why doesn't Star Wars understand Star Wars? Because now the right hates everything Disney, and so I guess they're going whole hog on the left. I don't know. Like I said, I think they're flailing. And this is not the first time this has happened. We go back to Captain Marvel. We go back to the 2016 Ghostbusters movie. We go back to the whole The Last of Us 2 controversy. We go back to all the gates that, you can't say anymore because everybody's so sick of hearing about the gates. And that was the first gate back in 2014 was my first real exposure to how companies blow this and actually alienate more people than they bring on side, because it's very important, especially in nerd media, to seem open to fair critique. Notice I called it critique, because you have to balance that with critics and haters. And those two groups will never be satisfied, because critics live to criticize, haters gonna hate. But critiques are people that want to like it. Just give them an excuse, right? That's what The Mandalorian did. I mean, did anybody care that Pedro Pascal's name is Pedro Pascal and he's from, where's he from? Chile. He's from Chile, right? Yeah. I mean, nobody freaked out about that. People thought The Mandalorian was great. Now, okay, that was a word of mouth thing. It didn't drop like a summer blockbuster the way Obi-Wan Kenobi did. And I think that has something to do with it, right? The same way there was so much pre-release hype and anti-hype about Masters of the Universe Revelations, the bigger these things get, the more that pocket of bad in a fandom gets very, very loud. And they keep getting louder and louder if you give them attention. And this is actually true of the whole Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial too. And I'm sorry if anybody's sick of hearing about this, but this thing won't go away. You know, there was a shining example, and this is what happens with these nerd properties too, right? There's a kerfuffle. Some people are upset. A theory pops up that they are bots or trolls, right? Right-wing media goes, hey, we have an opportunity here. So they start pumping attention and money into it. You know, and it's, it can be Breitbart, though they seem like a spent force now. It can be Daily Wire, you know, but they start, hey guys, you know, we're listening. And then the left-wing media freaks out. And there's almost an allergic reaction to the mere presence of a guy like Milo Yiannopoulos or Ben Shapiro. And then the left, pardon the pun, shits the bed. And that's why it's funny, because they did that with the whole Johnny Depp Amber Heard thing. The factions just line up. Okay, if the right likes something, the left has to hate it. Similarly, you know, the left, Disney seems to be listening to the left, so the right hates Disney now. It's just so reactionary. And these are minorities of the people that consume this stuff. These are minorities of even the people who are fans of this stuff, because the majority are like, I think y'all are crazy. Can you all just shut up and let me Star Wars, or let me Marvel, you know, or fuck, let me Harry Potter. Another one. Like, is there a nerd franchise right now that is free of partisan drama, free of, you know, issues drama? Kind of The Expanse. They had a bit of a scandal, but they sort of dealt with it. Everybody's like, what happened? And moved on. The Expanse so far is fairly safe, because Star Trek is all weird now. Again. I mean, Star Trek was always kind of, well, what we would call woke. It's sort of in the DNA. But it was woke and fun and interesting, as opposed to season 2 of Picard, which, in my opinion, was unwatchable. Just my opinion. That's not a hill I want to die on. You know, Stranger Things managed to come out and just be good, and there doesn't seem to be a ton of fighting about that. Thank God. I recommend it. On Netflix is quite good. First time I fired up Netflix in ages, man. Go Stranger Things. So it can be done, right? It can be. I mean, Stranger Things has really prominent women. Phenomenal performances for actresses who are really freaking young. Like, they're all good, right? And, you know, there are some not white people in it. And there's, you know, sort of an LGBTQ coming of age thing in it. But for whatever reason, perhaps because that was part of the DNA of the show from the beginning, or I don't know. But, you know, Shang-Chi didn't get a rough road, you know, other than a very weird launch and kind of that COVID thing and the fight between Simu Liu and the studio about him, you know, not thinking they were going to give the movie a chance. And then it made gangbusters money and everybody was happy, right? But there wasn't the same resistance. Even Black Panther, for all of the sort of early complaining about that movie, there is an example right there. There's an example of people, instead of going to war with the racists, they just were like, Wakanda forever, man. And they were doing the thing, and they were doing the makeup, and they just like, we like this. We're going to focus on liking this. Shut up, Wakanda forever. That's how it's freaking done. That's how you do it. You know, can the rest of Hollywood please watch that? Like much of American entertainment, please just listen to black people instead of ripping them off. Contentious statement, I know, but just in America, black culture tends to drive culture in general. This is just so. So how about setting that example, because that's doing it right. Right? And then the movie came back and oh my god, I thought it was freaking awesome. Battle rhinos, man. Freaking battle rhinos. Right? Battle rhinos. I don't care what you think of the rest of the movie. That's cool. But we can still talk about Black Panther being cool. We can talk about Shang-Chi being cool. Another group of people who are just like, fuck y'all, I'm going to see it. That's how it's done. You know, unlike Black Widow and Captain Marvel, that both marketed on this stereotypically humorless sort of feminist message instead of going girl power, which is so ironic in the fucking Captain Marvel film because that soundtrack was the girl power era. That was Riot Girl music. Like, fuck, man. How do you get that wrong? You know, fucking Stranger Things made Kate Bush more punk than Shirley Manson. If I just say garbage now, people don't know what I'm talking about. You know, I'm only happy when it rains. That was the music I grew up in. You know, that and sort of the mid to late 80s were very formative for me, and so I have a real connection to what music did. Anyway, you can't grow positivity when you're focusing on the haters. And the media keeps focusing on the haters, claiming to support progress and diversity. But, you know, oddly enough, when it comes to projects for, say, female game developers, had a whole commiseration fest with other women in the industry. But yep, no, they still want money to cover our stuff, but they'll report on female victimhood for free. Funny that, you know. Anyway, a story for another day. But it's the same with you know, creators of color. The fact that a huge number of creators in gaming are Asian in Asia, right? And okay, they just go after Kojima and call him a sexist. Like, which is it, people? Like, same with Bayonetta. Bayonetta is getting like a, I don't know. It's like there hasn't been a game out in a while, so they're less threatened. So now it's okay to like Bayonetta. I don't friggin' know. I can't follow this stuff because it's weird. It doesn't make any sense. When you are being harassed, the police tell you, don't call attention to it. Don't bait them. Don't inflame it. Don't fight back. You want it to be crystal clear. Who's the aggressor here? Who's the bad actor here? This is what you're told. And it's very hard to internalize that when you're seeing, you know, people who make a lot of money doing this stuff brawling over nonsense. You know, you could be like, Leanna, how can you say that the Johnny Depp Amber Heard verdict was nonsense? It's serious. It's abuse. Yes, that is not the nonsense part. The nonsense part is, what does this mean for the Me Too movement? Nothing. It's one thing. If your movement is so fucking fragile that one jury trial is going to derail the whole thing, I'm sorry, go back, plan better, strategize. Because holy shit, can you imagine if like Nelson Mandela or Martin Luther King had one fucking setback and went, oh, it's ruined, it's awful. Those dudes were thrown in jail. They themselves were thrown in jail. And a defamation trial is causing bedwetting over Me Too. Fucking shit, man. Like, fucking shit. You know, when the equal rights amendment for women failed. Feminism didn't just go away. It did kind of fracture for a while. It took the whole Anita Hill thing to sort of come back, but it didn't go away forever. These things are long games. They are marathons, not sprints. But these little skirmishes, how you handle them, matters so much, because it's a question of the Queen Latifah Equalizer show put it. It's a difference between call out culture, yelling at somebody and making them back off, or call in culture, bringing people in and having a discussion and forming bonds. Again, Queen Latifah show, okay, is saying call people in, don't call people out. And what I find really interesting about that show is it's a network procedural that does very, very well in the ratings. And it's a lot of for us by us, what we used to call back in the day FUBU. It's a lot of coding. And if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. It's like Vecna in Stranger Things 4. I freaked out. I freaked Vecna, man. If you know it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. And it takes too long to explain. But there is a show that just trucks along. They got rid of Chris Noth really fast when he turned out to be a piece of shit. Or it was revealed to the public that he was a piece of shit. Somebody who gets disappeared that quickly, people know. But they're trucking along. They're doing their thing. They're making their points, but they're also telling a fun story. And Queen Latifah's hair is a statement every episode, man. Like, she is bringing it with the hairstyles, and the wardrobe. But, and fun fact, the woman who plays, the actress who plays her daughter, in, The Equalizer is going to be in the upcoming God of War game. So that's going to be cool. I'm very excited about that because she's amazing on the show. But I'm sure there's going to be screaming about that because, oh, she's black and it's a Norse story. Fun fact, a lot of Norse gods were imported from other cultures, were what they call syncretized. Tyr was likely a Roman god. Loki myths predate a lot of other things by thousands of years. It did happen. It's not completely, it's not completely wrong. And come on, Idris Elba's Heimdall was amazing. So, and that was one of those movies that everybody was like, okay, that's a bit odd that Heimdall is black and one of the Warriors 3 is Asian, but we all sort of went with it and eventually went, okay, Heimdall's cool, right? But it is possible, and various franchises, and ironically, it's the ones that are, Shang-Chi is an Asian superhero movie. Black Panther is a black superhero movie. The movies that are culture prominent, like culture dominant, non-white dominant, bring messages of positivity. They do a little clap back, but then they get back on message and just, it's positive, it's fun, it's a good movie, go see it, it's enjoyable, right? And they don't go, oh no, it's not for you, it's for us. No, it's for everybody. And isn't it great that something that is us is for everyone? It's positive, inclusive, call-in messaging. This Star Wars stuff, this partisan media-driven brawling is the wrong way to do it. And I keep seeing it again and again and again, and that's why I don't think it's deliberate or coordinated, because it doesn't work. It never works. I mean, shit, this Star Wars stuff is... There's more waves to this whole fandom menace thing than there are Star Wars movies now. There's more waves of this ongoing fight than episodes of Clone Wars. Like, I can just keep making references all day, but the point is, it's not working. And if it wasn't reactive, you'd think they'd step back and go, okay, we need a new plan here. Because, yeah, this keeps happening to the most prominent non-white cast members on a show. It's so weird that, what's his name? Kamal Nanjiani, the guy who's in Eternals in Silicon Valley, and then Indira Varma. No one's to boo about Indira Varma. I think because at this point everybody's like, yeah, that's Indira Varma. She's amazing. But Moses Ingram is amazing too. If you haven't seen The Queen's Gambit, watch it. It's a good show, but she's also really good in it. She's a good actress, and she deserves better than to take this crap. But so did Kelly Marie Tran, and so did John Boyega. And these things happen for reasons. These companies keep bungling this stuff because they're elevating and amplifying the rotten bits of massive fandoms and putting everybody else off who just goes, when are you going to pay attention to us? Which makes sense, right? All right. If you like this commentary, help support this channel, become a monthly patron, patreon.com/LeannaK, or buy a one-time Leanna Care session for someone who can use it, can't afford it, coffee.com/LeannaK. Thanks for watching.